Today, we'll be looking at the dark side of an otherwise very common and ordinary bird. Welcome back to Sketchbook Biology. When most birds want to impress a potential mate or compete for territory and its associated privileges, they'll show up in their nicest feathers, do a little jig, and or do a lot of singing. But there are also some birds that take the more direct approach of eliminating the competition. Acorn woodpeckers are highly social and very intelligent birds that are found across southwestern North America. They're very easy to spot in forests or at your backyard seed feeder. Adults are mostly dark brown to black, with bright white patches on the forehead, throat, belly, and rump. Males have a red cap that begins at the forehead, while females have a thin black strip between the forehead and the cap. They are also pretty easy to hear, making one of their signature calls, or when they're drilling holes into trees. Now, before I mention the obvious, these birds primarily feed on insects, tree sap, and sometimes fruit. They'll drill into dead tree bark to get at worms, larvae, and such, but it's much harder to access this type of fresh food in the winter. So woodpeckers rely heavily on food they've stored up in the fall to get through the colder days. And this is where the acorns come into the picture. Acorns are very, very important to acorn woodpeckers. If you've ever taken a walk in a forest with a lot of oak or pine trees, you might have come across a dead or dying tree riddled with hundreds of holes plugged with acorns. If they haven't already, the sight of these trees might make you a little bit uncomfortable, especially if you have trypophobia. These trees are the work of woodpeckers, and they're called granaries or granary trees, and it's very serious work for an acorn woodpecker. They drill holes specifically for the purpose of storing acorns, and they'll very carefully select a storage hole that's just the right size for their foraged acorn. And the acorns that are hoarded in these granaries are only withdrawn when food is very scarce or when the babies are ready for solid food later in the year. Oh, and granaries don't always have to be trees. Fence posts, utility poles, buildings, and even the radiator grill on your car will do just fine. So hey, while I'm filling this in, I wanted to ask you guys, how are you liking the videos? Are there specific animals or research that you want me to cover? Do you have any feedback? Please do let me know. I would love to hear from you guys. No pressure, of course. Feel free to comment whenever or if ever you want to. And back to the birds we go. Generations and generations of a single acorn woodpecker family spend many months each year to maintain and stock their family granary. Now, these birds are also unusual by the fact that they are cooperative breeders, which has only been observed in about 9% of all bird species. Their social lives are a little complicated. Family units can vary from the traditional pairs to larger breeding collectives with as many as 8 males and 4 females, plus extra non-breeding helpers, which are usually grown offspring from previous years. This also means that breeding males, often brothers, fathers, and sons, compete for matings with all breeding females who are also related. But where possible, vacancies in the family structure are filled by outsiders, preventing inbreeding. The females lay their eggs communally in the same cavity nest, and they share parentage. Now, all this family manpower is necessary because their granary is an extremely valuable resource. So acorn woodpecker families also spend a lot of time guarding these granaries from thieves and, more dangerously, from outsiders looking to acquire some prime real estate and the means to pass on their genes. This latter group of intruders are siblings of the same sex that usually show up when a family of woodpeckers has recently lost one or more breeding individuals due to age, sickness, or otherwise. And these intruders have the singular goal of forcefully filling those vacancies. Their arrival at the resident granary kicks off something that scientists call a power struggle, and something I like to call woodpecker WrestleMania. A power struggle begins with the granary residents making alarm calls and posturing because these intruders start getting a little too close to their granary. The alarm calls are usually loud enough to attract a crowd of other unrelated woodpeckers or even different bird species, and news travels fast, with some spectators traveling a long way to find out what the commotion is about. And when the residents have had enough of the intruders, and the shouting and the spread wing posturing has done nothing but draw an audience, they make their move and start the fight. These events are essentially battle royales where sibling units or singletons slug it out. And this isn't some cute territorial show of force, these birds are getting ready to fight to the death for as long as it takes to keep ownership of the granary. Power struggles can last up to 5 days and feature nearly 10 hours of fighting per day. Funny enough though, the contenders do tap out to grab a quick meal, but they come back to pick up where they left off. The spectators also attend these sites as regularly as the fighters and spend almost an hour watching the carnage. The audience is willing to repeatedly commute to power struggles even further than competitors sometimes, and scientists believe for the audience, watching and interacting with these crowds provides valuable information on social hierarchy. They don't even have to worry about their own granaries because the thieves are also probably at the big fight. Woodpeckers use their beaks as spears, and injuries can range from a few ruffled feathers or bloodied plumage to broken wings and gouged out eyes. Intense fights can sometimes be fatal, and as the brawl rages on and casualties start to pile up, allegiances will start to shift. Okay, this is a warning to any of you that have trypophobia. I'm going to start drawing a part of a tree that has a bunch of unpleasant holes. Skip forward about a minute and a half and then avoid glancing at the bottom left of the video and you won't have to see any of that. I'll see you on the other side. The residents will side with whoever has the upper hand at the time. Often, the sibling unit with more participating individuals comes out on top, ganging up on solo fighters, even the injured ones. It is not pretty, but it is about survival. Should the intruders be victorious, the members of that sibling unit take control of the granary, and they exchange calls with the remaining resident members of the opposite sex to form a coalition and work together to chase away the remaining fighters, even some of their own family members. But even after these new birds join and make this big new family, squabbles can break out. Because the relatedness between the breeders and the helpers are now reduced, because of these newcomers, the helpers will start to make their own attempts at breeding, and interrupting breeding attempts by other birds, and ignoring their usual duties like taking care of the babies or cleaning out the nest. But this behavior is very quickly taken care of by booting these rebellious birds out as well. Like I said, their social lives are a little complicated. But these power struggles serve a purpose. It's chaos, yes, but it is controlled. It's this weirdly functioning system that evolution has somehow led these birds to, that replace lost family members while steering them away from inbreeding, all without investing in traditional courtship ornamentation or behavior. And that is where we will leave these exceptionally intelligent bunch of birds that occasionally engage in extraordinary violence. A special thank you to all the scientists, grad students, undergrads, technicians, and anyone else that bought ringside tickets to Woodpecker WrestleMania to create and publish their Acorn Woodpecker research. And thank you for hanging out as always. If today is your birthday, I wish you nothing but cake and happiness. And if you're not having a great time right now, make sure you look in your own granary for a little snack. But if you're just out there shoving acorns into tree holes, please like and subscribe. I'll be back soon. Peace.